Hello, hello, happy Thursday. Hi. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're getting into Jodi Arias finally. I've been wanting to, and we need a break. We need a break for everything going on with all the Epstein and Nancy, but we still are doing Epstein tonight. So we're just gonna have a little bit of a break, dig into Jodi Arias case. Finally, I know. Maybe we'll get to trial day one tonight. We'll see how long this takes. It shouldn't be too long. We're gonna do just like a redo of the case, the whole recap. So thank you for being here. Welcome. We, if you are a new subscriber or a new viewer or a replay viewer, shout out to you as well. Please hit the like button. You guys know YouTube is censoring me because of the Epstein files. So hitting the like button really helps, and I appreciate it. So definitely hit the like button, turn on the notifications. Let's get into it. We're going to just listen to the 911 call. If you're not familiar with the Jodi Arias case, she is in California. She is in prison because she killed her boyfriend, Travis Alexander. I think we all know about Jodi Arias, crazy Jodi Arias. There's a lot of content. So we're going to start from the beginning. We probably already are familiar with this stuff. We're going to listen to the 911 call. We're going to go through an incident investigation supplemental report from the police department. We will look at crime scene photos. So this is your warning, disclaimer, trigger warning. You will be looking at blood and wounds. So I know YouTube doesn't like the B word. It's very quite frustrating. We are going to just skim over or read specific parts of Travis's autopsy. And then we will, we're going to read a letter that Jodi wrote to Travis's family. And then we're going to look at her MySpace page from back in the day. I thought that would be interesting to look at. So let me say hello to everyone. Hello, old days. You've been waiting, I know. Crease, hello, WT Flock. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Tippy. Good to see you. Hey, Psycho. Yeah, please. Hey, Divine. Good to see you. And Amanda. Hi. Thanks for being here. I know it's a little. Hi, Ramon. Good to see you. We're going through an older case, but I haven't done a deep dive on this case, and this is one of my favorite true crime cases. So I figured we'd start from the beginning, kind of like we did with Gypsy, which we should be catching up on Gypsy this week. So let's get started. I'll play the 911 call. It's about 4 minutes, and then we'll get into the supplemental report. I just needed a break from like Epstein for a little bit, and this is one of my favorite cases, and we have had it planned. So I figured let's just do it today. And we're going to go through the trial as well for fun.
What's going on? A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there.
Yes, please, can you?
Hello.
Hi, so what's going on?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay. How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there was blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut his wrist?
It's all over the place.
Is there any weapons around?
No, I don't know. Not that I saw.
How many people are in the house?
How many of us? How many are in the house right now? Just the 5 of us? 5 of us.
Okay, I need all of you outside.
Okay.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, you're a good friend of Travis's, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has he been depressed at all? Thinking about committing suicide, anything like that?
I don't think he's been thinking he committed suicide. He's been really depressed because he broke up with this girl, and he was all upset about that. But I don't think he would actually kill himself over that.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has. Okay. He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him and following him and slashing tires and things like that.
This is wild.
And do you know the ex-girlfriend's name?
Do you remember that? What's his ex-girlfriend's name? Ask Taylor.
And do you know if he's ever reported it to the police?
Her name is Jodi. I don't know if he's ever reported. Hold on. Yeah. Ask Taylor if he's ever reported Jodi to the police. Like, if Travis did. No, he hasn't reported anything about Jodi's behavior.
Okay, and you guys left the roommate. When was the last time he saw Travis? Was it 3 days ago?
Zach, do you guys, when was the last time you guys saw Zach? Travis. They want to know about some of the roommates.
Last time I saw him was, last Thursday or Friday?
The last time I remember seeing him was last Thursday. When was last time you saw him? Mimi saw him last Tuesday, or last Monday. She talked to him last.
She's actually pretty.
Monday.
Okay. And everyone is out of the house. There's no one else in the house.
No, no one's in the house.
Okay.
No, because none of us know what's going on.
And what is your name?
My name is Michelle. I need to ask a friend something. I'm giving the phone to me.
Okay.
Taylor. Hi.
Hi.
She's Trini's business partner.
Okay. And this is, okay, the tub is in his bedroom?
Yeah, and I guess I didn't go in, but from what I heard, his roommate went in. There's blood in his bedroom behind the door, and then he said it's all over. And then they went in the bathroom, and he's in his shower.
Okay.
So
and his bedroom is where in the house?
It's upstairs, and if you go up the stairs, it's on the left. It's the first door on your left. It's the only door on your left.
Okay.
And it's just a big master suite bedroom up there. And she's talking to his friend right now. There's a girl that's been stalking him and things, and he's trying to. You might know some information. I hope my phone doesn't die. I'm on like 1 bar of battery.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep you on the phone until officers arrive. Either officers or paramedics arrive. Okay.
Okay. I think I can hear the sirens
now. She looks better, natural, not blonde. Hey, Chicano. Good to see you, Mikey. Shout out to you for being here. Appreciate you. She looks better, natural, and not blonde. But she ain't ugly. No, she's not. Okay, let's go through the police report. One of them, the supplemental reports. Here we go. It's crazy. This is a brutal case. The infatuation with body looks is crazy. You mean with Jodi? Hey, Robert. Hey, Bunny. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Good to see you. Because Travis and his new ex-girlfriend reported Jodi. Yeah. So, hey, Trippy OTX. So we think she was, I think she went there to do just that. You know what I mean? Let's get into this police report. So, or incident investigation report. Approving Flores. Others involved. Okay. Probably the witnesses and the friends. This is dated September 3rd, 2008. So when did Jodi get arrested? What was the exact date? July 15th. So a couple months after. It says on June 9th, 2008 at 23:12 hours, I was called and asked to respond to this address in reference to a death investigation. The initial information was given to me that officers had been called to this address after friends of the homeowner had found him deceased in his bathroom. It was unknown how long the decedent had been in the house. Trigger warning too, by the way, guys. The way the internet went crazy saying she was so hot, who cares what she did? Oh no, I definitely care about what she did. He was her world. She was a backup. Yeah, he got over her. Got over her. I arrived at the scene at 23:50 hours and noticed the residence was secured with yellow police tape and was under police guard. No one was allowed to enter the perimeter, and a crime scene log had been established. One fellow detective arrived once they arrived, we received a case briefing from Officer D. Pepper. He stated officers had responded and contacted several people standing outside of the residence. Officers and responding Mesa Fire Department paramedics were told that the homeowner was found in the master bathroom and appeared deceased. Officers entered with paramedics and located the body of a deceased person lying in the master bathroom shower. The deceased body appeared as though he had been in the bathroom for at least a day or two, and what had appeared to be wounds to the neck and chest area. We'll find out when I get to the autopsy report, or even in this report. Was it 27 times she stabbed him? We're gonna look at the crime scene photos. So, and I do that respectfully, but he did look pretty decomposed. She basically slit his throat. I won't show that one. It's too brutal. Hey Rebecca, I think I saw your comment earlier. Why is she looking like now? How is y'all treating her? She just looks a little bit older, I think. Maybe they did, Rebecca. I know they're being really, about everything. She butchered him so no one can have. Yeah, I know. It's like Kenzie Shirla. If I can't have him, no one can. The fire paramedics, called the time of death at 22:37 hours. Officers began to contact the people involved. These people included the reporting party, all the friends that were there. The information they received was that homeowner and possible victim Travis Alexander had not been seen since the following week. The two roommates, Zach and Enrique, both stated that they last saw and spoke to Travis approximately 4 to 5 days prior. They knew Travis had a trip to Mexico scheduled and assumed he had already left. I know that it's probably, he was in the master bedroom, but I question, did it not smell like a dead body in there, the house? But I guess if they really didn't think he was there. They stated it wasn't unusual for Travis to leave town without telling them. They didn't suspect anything was wrong until Travis's friends arrived and advised them that they hadn't heard from Travis in several days. They mentioned his Mexico trip was scheduled for the following morning, but no one had been able to contact him. The person he was going to Mexico with was identified as Marie. Marie had spoken to officers at the scene and told them that she was concerned about Travis's welfare since they were scheduled to leave for Mexico in the morning, but he was not answering his phone and not returning voicemail messages. Jodi knew that if Travis went on this trip with this new girlfriend or whatnot, that she was going to lose him completely. And it's really upsetting. He had plans to go to Mexico. Yeah, he's in the shower. That's right. His room was big. Don't think they smelled it. I don't know. BLOOD has a very metallic smell, I feel like. Or no. Some people were in, yeah. Hey, William. Share the picture. Let's continue. Since she couldn't contact him on the phone, she decided to drive over and contact him in person. She knocked on the door, but no one answered. She decided to call two other friends identified as Michelle and Michelle's boyfriend. She told them what was happening and they came right over to help. They were able to gain entry into the house through the garage using a keypad code obtained from another friend. While in the house, they contacted Travis's roommate, Zachary, and his girlfriend, Amanda, who were in one of the upstairs bedrooms. They asked Zach if they had seen Travis, and he responded by saying he thought Travis had gone to Mexico and hadn't seen him in several days. Marie mentioned that she was also concerned because she and Travis had recently had a discussion regarding their relationship. Travis had invited her to go to Cancun vacation in hopes they would get to know each other better. I know it. I know it. Jodi was like, nope, they're not going to go on this trip, fall in love, have a great time, flirt on the beach, make love, have good food. Absolutely not. She said, nope, not doing it. Hey, BRB Queen. RIP Travis, another senseless murder by a crazy girl. Was 4 to 5 days after he was off found. Yeah. His room was way back in the water too. Well, ugh. It gives me the chills when I think about it. And once we see these photos, it's like, oh. About 2 weeks ago, she informed him she only wanted to be friends and didn't want to go any further than that. She told him she wouldn't mind if he decided to take someone else with him instead. Marie also mentioned that Travis had recently broke up with another one of his girlfriends named Lisa. That's the one I think that they reported the slashing of the tires and stuff. Correct? She knew he was still upset about that breakup, but didn't think he would hurt himself over it. They also checked Travis's bedroom door and found it locked. Oh. They were able to find a key to the bedroom door and opened it only to discover what appeared to be blood on the carpet leading into the master bathroom. They also discovered large amounts of dried blood throughout the bathroom floor and walls. After a closer look in the bathroom, they found a body of a deceased male sitting in the shower with the door open. Oh. And she left him there sitting. Like, didn't Jodi Arias go through his computer? She went through, I think she was, yeah, so she knew a lot. What was he doing? I think she put a tracker on him, on his phone, like a text tracker. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but I could see her doing something like that. It appeared that the deceased was Travis, so they exited and called the authorities. The other roommate, Enrique, had been sleeping in his room, so they informed of the situation, and he also exited the house. Oh, I'm sorry, I gave you guys the wrong date. It was on August 27th. I was going to say that's a while. It got approved in September. So it was like a month after the crime. A little over a month. Before we could determine what had happened to Travis, the subjects on scene had begun to mention the name Jodi Arias. They told officers that if someone had done harm to Travis, we needed to look at Jodi Arias as an investigative lead. The initial information given to me about this Jodi Arias was that she was Travis's ex-girlfriend. They had lived together for a while in the house and had recently just broke up. Since the breakup, Travis and his new girlfriend had, oh, they spelled new wrong. Had their tires slashed. Crazy ass psycho. He collapsed like Montana. I think he fought. I think he did. Oh my gosh, and then she drags him. This case. Hey, Irony, good to see you. Jodi had apparently stolen Travis's personal journals, had his email and passwords, there it is, and let Travis know she knew about the other girls he was currently dating. They had broken up several months ago, and she moved back to California to be with her family. As far as everyone knew, she was still in California. As we waited for the other detectives to arrive to assist with the investigation, I received information from Travis's friend at the scene that Jodi had called them and wanted to know what was going on. Jodi girl. You're ridiculous. Why would she call? Oh, she was really a side chick. It was like it was like a lust thing. You're right, Chicano. You're right. Yeah, it became like a totally like a sexual thing too. I remember hearing what she told someone She told someone he was like the Terminator because he kept getting back up. Oh. R.I.P. Travis. She had also mentioned she wanted to talk to the investigating officers. The initial scene observation. A closer and more careful look at the scene was needed to assess the situation and determine if a crime had been committed. We were told, well, no shit. We were told the victim was lying in the shower of the master bathroom with what appeared to be an injury to his neck. The injury was described to us as a large cut from this one side of the neck to the other. Overkill, 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 overkill. For sure. Hey, Kimmy, she used SCX to get Travis and seduce him. Manipulation. Hey, Alicia, good to see you, love. She's evil. You guys, overkill. She pew-pewed him too. Yeah, they are. Although uncommon, I have knowledge of subjects committing unaliving in this manner. A closer look at the scene and body was needed to make that determination. Detective B. Cooper, okay, sergeant, commander, and I entered the residence. We entered through the front door of the home after donning protective footwear and gloves. The home appeared clean and in good order. There was a strong odor associated with a decomposing body all over the home. See what I mean? Like, even if you're smoking in there, whatever it is, candles, anything, you cannot, that smell of dead body. I'm like trying to be so careful with YouTube because they're on my ass because I'm covering Epstein files. We're doing that live next, just a heads up. But she used a knife and a firearm. She shot him and slit his throat. There's a strong odor associated with the decomposing body. This odor was evident as soon as we entered the front door. See what I mean? How did the roommates not smell that? Don't say it, Melanie. Don't. Yeah, I agree, Psycho. Should really look like a robot. Nothing downstairs appeared out of the ordinary except for a stand-up floor cleaner in the middle of the living room. We slowly and carefully moved up to the stairs in the master bedroom at the top of the stairs. The master bedroom had double doors, but only the east door was open. At the top of the stairs to the south was a large game room / media room. I noticed there was a black camera bag on the floor near a large beanbag chair. I noted that the camera bag was open and the camera was missing. I then focused my attention back towards the master bedroom. Once in the master bedroom, I noticed a large reddish brown stain on the carpet just to the east of the door. This large stain continued down a long tiled hallway which led into the master bathroom. I also noticed the bed in the room did not have any linens and the pillows were sitting on the west side of the bed on a chair. So the linens are missing because Psycho used those to drag him. 2 weapons shows the rage she had. She couldn't leave there without knowing she finished him off like that, brutally. She's one of the most selfish, controlling, vindictive. Yeah, I know. This case is effed up. Yes, it is. Paralleling the bathroom hallway to the east was a large walk-in closet with another door leading into the bathroom area. Instead of walking through the bloody hallway, I walked through the closet door to get a look at the main part of the bathroom. Once in the bathroom, I noticed the body of a deceased in the standalone shower. The body was in somewhat of a sitting position with his feet to the north and his head to the south. I noticed his body had clear signs of decomp, which included discoloration, marbling, and some skin slippage. A closer look revealed a large laceration on his neck, which began on the far left side of his neck and traveled all the way across to the right side. We're gonna watch a ton of her interviews too in this deep dive, like, as we go through all the documents, 'cause we're gonna go through the emails and, like, all of that good stuff. So it's like, um, she he was like it was basically, like, almost all the way cut. I couldn't determine where the laceration ended. I'm thinking of the pictures in my head. That's why I'm, like, so disturbed. I couldn't determine where the laceration ended without moving the body. I also noticed a small puncture to the center of his chest, which still had small amounts of fluid flowing out of it. I noticed other laceration and puncture wounds on his chest. They appeared clear of any blood or fluid flow. This indicated to me his body might have been washed off post-mortem. Just try to clean it up. Next to the body in the shower was a clear plastic cup which appeared out of place. There was no signs of any weapons or near the body on or near the body, but without moving the body, we couldn't determine if there was anything under it. A quick examination of the bathroom revealed large amounts of BLOOD all over the northernmost sink and mirror. There were also signs of spatter and cast off through the rest of the bathroom, indicating some type of struggle. I made the determination to exit the home and obtain a search warrant for magistrate before continuing any further investigation in the home. We exited the home by going down the stairs, out through the laundry room, and out of the garage. While walking by the washer and dryer in the laundry room, I noticed what appeared to be a small reddish brown stain on the top front portions of the washing machine. The stain appeared to be consistent with a blood stain. I noticed that the stain continued to exit the home. At least one officer stationed in front of the home for security at all times until we were able to obtain a search warrant. I made arrangements to have the original friends. Okay, go to the police station. They all agreed. So this is what Marie said in the interview. The first person I interviewed was Marie. Marie was a person who was going to Cancun, Mexico with Travis in the following morning. I started my interview with Marie. Marie stated she had known Travis for about 1 year now. They knew each other from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, singles ward they both attend. They have been hanging, in a singles ward they both attend. They have been hanging out together since about February or March. She had seen him around church and church activities, but it wasn't until recently they started to hang out and got to know each other. She knew he worked out of his home selling legal insurance or something and was some type of public speaker. She knew he was from California. His family was still there. About 1 month ago, he had asked her if she would go on a business trip to Mexico with him. She agreed and they started to make plans. About 2 weeks ago, she told him she didn't want to be anything more than just friends and would understand if he wanted to take someone else with him to Mexico. It was too late to change the plans and they agreed to just go as friends. The trip was scheduled for June 10th. She said she saw him on Monday, June 2nd at the church activity, but didn't see him at church on Sunday, June 8th. Monday the 2nd was the last time she spoke to him. When she couldn't get a hold of him all week, she began to get worried. She decided to go over in person to see if he was all right. She didn't get an answer at the door, but noticed that Travis's dog Napoleon was running around downstairs. She left the house and went back home, but soon called two of her friends, Michelle and Dallin. She told them what had happened, and they also thought Travis had already gone to Mexico. She went back to the house and met up with Michelle and Dallin. There was a white car in the driveway, so they believed someone had to be home. They knocked on the door, but no one answered. This was not unusual since Travis's roommates didn't answer the front door if they weren't expecting someone. Michelle was able to call someone to get the garage keypad code, and they went in. Once inside, they noticed Travis's laptop computer and cellular phone were sitting on the desk in the den. They went upstairs and made contact with Travis's roommate, who was in his own bedroom with his girlfriend. See, how do you not smell that if the detectives and police did? Blast from the past. I thought the dog ran away. Guess he was downstairs. So premeditated. Yeah. Don't mind me. I'm drinking my coffee. Excuse me. Hey, Luna. It's cold as balls here. Ugh. I know she said she kicked her dog. I don't think she unalived it. No. Zachary stated he hadn't seen Travis for a few days and that he had gone on a business trip out of town. They checked Travis's bedroom and noticed it was locked. Zachary went downstairs and came back up with a set of keys and began attempting to unlock the door. Zachary managed to get the door unlocked. He went in calling for Travis. Zachary and Dallin walked in while she and the others stayed near the entrance. Zachary and Dallin told him that could see a lot of BLOOD and Travis was dead. That's when they called 911. I asked her about the two roommates. She said Zachary had lived there since January, while Enrique had been in the home for about a week, 2 weeks or so. Travis had told her that he really rarely sees Zachary because he was constantly in his girlfriend's house. She said they don't really talk to each other too much and don't socialize. They all basically stick to themselves. I asked about Travis's former girlfriend, Jodi. She said she didn't know much about Jodi other than what she learned tonight. She heard that she was kind of obsessive and she had manipulated Travis's Facebook account. She also mentioned hearing that Jodi would go into the house through the doggy door without being invited. The doggy door was also found with his body. Oh, poor Napoleon. The trauma Napoleon experienced. She described Jodi as a stalker ex-girlfriend. She had moved there from California to be near him. Travis had actually baptized Jodi into the LDS church. Marie said she was actually kind of worried about her because she was so obsessive. She had also heard that Jodi had stolen some of his personal journals, and they had recently taken some pages of his new book he was writing. She knew Travis spoke to Jodi sometime last week. Travis called Jodi because he caught her hacking into one of his email or Facebook accounts and confronted her about it. Other than this, she knew very little about Jodi. This is what the roommate Zach says. I began my interview with Zach. Zach stated he had known Travis for a year now. He met him while they both attended the same church. He moved in and started renting a room from Travis for about 4 months ago. Travis charges him $450 a month to rent one room out, but he has full access to the house. The other roommate is named Enrique. Enrique just recently moved in a few weeks ago. He doesn't know him very well. Travis, but he knows he and Travis attend the same church, and that is how they met. Everyone keeps to themselves. Okay, spends most of the time with his girlfriend. The last time he remembered seeing Travis was Thursday morning. Zach said he was leaving the house that morning on his way to pick up his girlfriend, Amanda. He just saw him in the passing as he walked out of the house. He didn't remember seeing Travis a few hours later when he returned. When asked where he thought Travis was, Zach said Travis was always leaving town on business trips and rarely tells them. That makes sense. That's probably why they didn't know he was still there. He also knew that Travis was scheduled to go on a Cancun trip and thought that was where he was. When asked what they did over the weekend, Zach stated he spent the entire day with his girlfriend Amanda. They ate lunch and watched some movies. They left and went to do some shopping and ate dinner. He got back home around midnight that night. The following day, he spent at work. He said he worked at a restaurant called Stapley. Zach mentioned Travis had been talking about this girl he liked, Mimi. Travis told him he really liked Mimi and mentioned he was taking her to Cancun on the business trip. After work, he went to Amanda's again and spent an hour at her house because it was her mother's birthday. They returned to the Queensboro house that evening and watched movies, then dropped her off about midnight. On Saturday, he had the day off, but had to attend a few meetings throughout the day. He also ran a few errands and thinks he did laundry. The meeting he went to was in the morning and another one later. He left the meeting, then had dinner with Amanda's family. They hung out again at his house to watch another movie until about midnight again. On Sunday of that week, Zach remembered he was on his way to church, but his car battery was dead. He was looking for a set of jumper cables until he found a neighbor with cables who also helped him jump his battery. He went to church and then went to Amanda's house. He didn't get back home until later. On Monday morning, he went to work. After work, he went to dinner with Amanda, ran some errands. He was there with Amanda until Travis's friend knocked on his door. Zach remembered asking Enrique about where Travis was. Enrique said he believed he had gone on a business trip. Zach said Travis normally drives to his out-of-town business meetings, but since he was going to Mexico, he didn't think it was out of the ordinary that his car was still in the garage. Zach stated he sent Travis a few text messages, one of which was about a mailbox key, but Travis never responded. These text messages were sent on Saturday and one on Sunday. When asked about Jodi, Zach said he had met her when he moved in and she would come around and hang out all the time when he first moved in. She used to clean Travis's house on occasion and he would pay her. He knows she moved to Arizona from California soon after they broke up. She moved into a nearby neighborhood to be close to Travis. He would pay her to clean the house. I forgot that detail. Travis also told her that he hated her and could not stand her after she slashed his tires. Yeah, the mail. So vile. How awkward was it when Travis's friend told Jodi she was not welcome? So awkward. He knew she also, oh yeah, I already read that part, my bad. He knew they had issues and argued about her showing up and being in the house unannounced. He would argue with her and ask her why she was in the house. They would have arguments about her moving down to Mesa after they were already broken up. She would call at inappropriate times and ask for advice about different things. When asked how she got into the house, Zach said she would let herself in sometimes because the door was never locked. Zach said he felt Travis was just trying to help Jodi out since she didn't have anyone else here in town. He said Jodi had moved back to California recently. He believed she moved about 1 to 2 months ago. He remembered the day she moved because she showed up to the house with a U-Haul truck. Just prior to her moving, Travis and her got into an argument about her moving away. On the day of her move, she showed up with the U-Haul truck and they got into another argument. At the time he moved in, Travis was already dating another girl. He couldn't remember he couldn't remember the new girlfriend's name, which was, I think, Lisa. He broke up with this last girlfriend in mid-February. Jodi was the reason the relationship didn't work. The new girlfriend didn't like the fact that Jodi was always hanging around. He told her that until he dealt with Jodi, they would have to end the relationship. Going back to the laundry, I asked Zach about the last time he did laundry. He mentioned it was at the beginning the beginning of the interview that he had done laundry on Saturday the 7th. He clarified he did laundry on Wednesday the 4th and had cleaned his room on the 7th. He uses a washer and dryer at the house when doing laundry. I asked about Travis's bedroom, specifically his bedding. He mentioned Travis has a brown comforter and light colored sheets. He has about 4 to 5 pillows with brown pillowcases. He said he had been in his bedroom before, so I asked if he noticed anything different or unusual about the bedroom. The only thing he noticed was the bed looked like it had been tossed. I asked Zach about any cameras Travis might have owned. He said Travis had just purchased a very nice black digital SLR type camera. He said it was a Sony brand. Zach mentioned he was a photographer, and Travis asked for his advice about what kind of camera he should buy. He suggested that style of camera to him. When asked about any medical problems that Travis had, Zach mentioned he wasn't aware of any. Travis was in pretty good shape. He would exercise regularly and was into kickboxing. He would run and ride his bike quite regularly. He was very health conscious. When asked if he noticed anything unusual or out of the ordinary the past week, the only thing Zach remembered was on Wednesday or Thursday. He said when he came home, he noticed the furniture on the tile floor downstairs had been moved. Travis had purchased a floor cleaner a few weeks prior, and it had been sitting downstairs the entire time. He thought that maybe Travis had been preparing to clean the floor or had cleaned it. The following day, the items were still in the same position, which he felt was kind of odd. It stayed that way a few more days until some of the stuff was eventually put back. Zach said he wasn't sure, but he believed Enrique might have put some of the items back. He also remembered going downstairs and feeling the banister and thinking it was a little slick, as though it had been cleaned. He didn't think anything about it because he thought Travis had just been cleaning and might have also cleaned the banister. This is wild. I haven't been over this case in a while. Yeah, it is. It's really crazy. The roommate had a different room with his own stuff, I think. When asked about the house security, Zach said there really wasn't any. The door was usually always unlocked when Travis was home and mentioned he didn't even have a key. That's so crazy to me. He had when people say they don't lock their doors or something, or like that was a thing back in the day, I'm like, I always locked my door. That's Scary. He had the garage door open and knew the garage keypad code. I asked about the cleaning duties. Zach said there was no cleaning duties in the house. They just cleaned up after themselves. He and Enrique used and cleaned the upstairs bathroom by their bedrooms. Travis would take care of the guest bathroom downstairs. I asked if he had access into Travis's bathroom. Zach said he had been in there, but only if he needed to get something. Travis would allow him to get medications and stuff like that from his medicine cabinet. Once the interview was finished, I asked Zach if he would supply a swab for DNA sample. He agreed to give the swab. They continued to interview the remaining individuals. There's a brief regarding their interviews with Amanda. All had similar accounts of what happened over the past few days. Search warrant on the morning of June 10th. Search warrants was obtained. Okay. Obtained and executed. Police latent print examiners were on the scene to assist with documenting, photographing, and collecting of evidence. Entry photos were taken prior to the search of the evidence. Forensic chemist was there to assist with any biological evidence. Once the entry photos were completed, entered, okay. The initial focus was placed on the bottom of the body of the victim in the surrounding area, such as the master bedroom and master bathroom. All who entered the house for investigative reasons wore protective footwear and gloves, which were regularly changed to minimize contamination. The master bedroom suite consisted of a main bedroom area, a large walk-in closet, a long tiled hallway, a main bathroom area with double sinks, tub, and standalone shower and a toilet room. The bedroom suite was located upstairs at the northeast end of the home. The entryway to the room was at the top of the staircase and consists of a double door. Yeah, Kenzie. I know it gives very Kenzie vibes. At first glance inside of the master bedroom, I could see a large stained area at the carpet at the entryway of the bathroom hallway. The stain appeared to be consistent with a stain which was several days old. Looking down the hallway, I noticed large amounts of what appeared to be BLOOD on the tile floor, an entire length of both walls. A closer look revealed a slight void of blood down the entire center of the tile, which could not be initially explained. The entire length of both walls. Since the hallway into the bathroom area was covered in this, we made entry into the bathroom through the walk-in closet, which had a door on the opposite end. Once in the bathroom area, I noticed large amounts, most northern sink and mirror. Some of it appeared diluted as though water had been spilled on it for a short period of time, while other sections of the spatter appeared to resemble heavy arterial spurting. I noticed the inside of the sink had a combination of bath diluted BLOOD with heavy spatter on top of it. This indicated the faucet had been running initially, then turned off as the person continued bleeding for a few seconds afterward. There were areas with large, thick puddles of dried all over the floor, with a combination of light diluted areas throughout the majority of the floor. A closer look at the cardboard box in the linen closet next to the sink revealed a reddish color watermark a few inches from the door. This indicated to me that the floor at some time after the incident had large amounts of water on it. Further initial observations revealed several areas throughout the bathroom had signs of cast-off spatter. On the far southern part of the bathroom, there was spatter on both window blinds. Some of these droplets were at below waist level, all the way to the very top slat over 6 feet up. Other spatter could be seen very low on the wall near the towel rack in the same area and all over the door leading into the toilet room and on the bottom of the toilet itself. It was everywhere. Creepy scene. Brutal. Yes, we're going to look at photos in a second. I don't know. They were using some washing machine. Evidence shows the sheets in the camera. Discovery of the body, roommate, yep. It was multiple level home. It was not divided. Jodi was a psychopath and evil. Yeah. The large amount of it through the bathroom and bedroom indicated to me that there was a struggle or the victim was attempting to flee his attacker. He's trying to get away. The victim's body. The victim's body was not moved until the medical examiner was on the scene. Prior to arrival, he was photographed in the shower as he was found. I noticed he had several visible wounds to his torso, head, neck, top of his hands. I did not notice any signs of weapons in his immediate vicinity as I was looking at his wounds, in particular, a wound to the center of his chest. I noticed the blood flow was traveling in one single direction. The blood flow was consistent with the position he was currently in. This was true with the other major wound to the neck. The other unusual thing I noticed about the other wounds to his torso and hands was the fact that they had no blood flow. This would indicate that they were rinsed off with water after his death. His hands. Oh, because he tried to fight back. So she was like, let me rinse his hands off to get rid of like DNA. Hey, Lakeside, good to see you. Jeez. This was, oh yeah, I already read that part. Another unusual item visible on the shower floor was the plastic cup. It was fairly clean with very little blood on it. She used that to clean up. As we waited for the investigators from the medical examiner, I located a spent shell casing on the floor near the north sink of the bathroom. The spent casing was lying in a pool of dried blood and not easily visible. It was a small caliber between .22 or .32 caliber. The spent casing was photographed and marked for collection. No GUN was ever located in the home during the search. They never found that. They never found, was it the GUN that they didn't find or the knife? I can't remember. I thought it was, or both. She rinsed his hands, yes, to try to get rid of DNA, I'm assuming. It's possible she turned on the shower if that could, yeah, try to rinse him off. I think that everything Jodi said was all lies, all of it. Made sense of understanding what came out of the roommates one where they didn't think Travis was home. Absolutely makes sense. They thought he was in Mexico living his best life. Literally. Let me get a drink of both. They didn't find it, huh? Oh, can you imagine? Yes, we can, because it's happening right now. But wow, that evil, 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 evil psycho Jodi. At least freaking do the right thing if you're already gonna rot in prison, right? Of the other items in the bathroom besides the casing and bloodstains were multiple hair fibers on the floor and baseboards near the shower. One of these hair fibers in particular was very long and did not appear to be from the victim. These fibers were all photographed and marked for collection. The items in the immediate area surrounding the shower were photographed and collected prior to allowing the medical examiner investigators to examine and recover the body. This was done knowing the potential of scene contamination once the body was moved into those areas. Investigators from the ME's office arrived to assist with the investigation. Okay, as whoever these people are. Travis's body was removed from the shower after being photographed, which revealed the extent of all his injuries. He had numerous injuries and trauma to the body, which indicated he had attempted to defend himself. Okay, it gives Idaho 4. You know how we reviewed the crime scene photos? It gives very much that, they all try to defend themselves. The initial examination at the scene showed he had injuries consistent with multiple stab wounds to his torso, hands, upper back, and head. The most prominent wound was to his throat, which had been cut open almost from ear to ear. The other prominent injury clearly visible was to the center of his chest. This wound was clearly visible because of its location and the fact it was still seeping bodily fluids. All of his injuries could not be accurately documented at the scene because of the amount of trauma, dried blood, and decomposition of the body. The medical examiner's case was assigned. Okay, Travis's body was sealed in a bag. During the search, I noticed Travis's bedding was missing from his bed. A search of the entire bedroom and closets were done, but no bedding was located. A search of the washer and dryer in the downstairs laundry room revealed Travis's bedding was in the dryer. The reddish stain appearing to be blood on the washer was tested and found to be blood. A sample of that was taken for later testing. A digital camera was also found in the washing machine in the downstairs laundry room. The camera appeared as though it had been run through a cycle with several articles of clothing in the machine. The camera had severe water damage, but the digital card was intact. Both camera and digital card were seized for evidence so they could be analyzed at a later time by the forensics unit. The clothing found in the washing machine was later identified as Travis's. The clothing consisted of undergarments, sweatpants, shorts, towels, and t-shirts. The camera was later identified as belonging to Travis. This camera appeared to be the same type of camera that Zach had described. Zach said he had consulted him on the purchase of the camera just a few months ago. The box and camera bag were also located in the home. The box was in the office downstairs. Travis' cellular phone was located in the downstairs office of the home. The last outgoing or incoming call was made at 12:13 hours on June 4th. There were other incoming calls and text messages into the phone after that, but none were ever answered. A laptop computer identified as belonging to Travis was found in the same office. The police computer forensics unit determined that the latest activity on the laptop was on the 4th. This consisted of email activity. The scene seemed worse than, yes, the trauma his body had. Oh my gosh, she almost decapitated him. I haven't heard of that psycho, or who said that? I'll look into that though. No, they didn't find the weapons. Several items of evidence were collected from the home during the service of the search warrant. Some of these items of evidence included blood samples for DNA type being fingerprints and hair samples found in the bathroom floor, on the bathroom floor and baseboards. During the search for fingerprints, a latent print was found at the entrance of the bathroom hall at waist level. The print was in blood and was near several swipe marks in that same general area. The section of the wall containing the latent print was cut out and seized so it could be analyzed in the controlled environment of the police identification and crime labs. The home was secured and turned over to Travis's family on June 13th. Next of kin, we were able to locate Travis's next of kin. Okay. First interview with Jodi. On June 10th, while still at the scene conducting the search warrant, I received another message that Jodi Arias had called and was waiting for detectives to call her. I broke from the scene temporarily and called her for a telephonic interview. The interview was recorded. Jodi stated that she did know Travis and had dated him for 5 months. They did have a sexual relationship. They officially broke up on June 29th, 2007, but had stayed friends since then. She was currently in 𝐌𝐞𝐥𝐿, California, near the Oregon border, and had not returned to Arizona since she moved in early April of this year. The last time she spoke to Travis was on Tuesday, June 4th. They had plans on seeing each other in May of this year, but the trip kept getting postponed. He was supposed to come up and see her last week, but it didn't happen. She had also taken a trip to Utah the last week. She mentioned Travis had a Cancun trip scheduled this week, and she had emailed him asking if she could stay at his house while he was gone. The email had been sent to Travis on 6/7, but he never responded. The reason they broke up was because of jealousy. The jealousy went both ways. No. No, it didn't. They were all in the stories, yeah. She found out about Travis's death from a mutual friend named Dan. Dan had called her late last night on the 9th to tell her about what was going on. On the 11th, I met with Travis's brothers. They had traveled from Riverside. I provided them with little information. They said they both hadn't been very close to Travis since he moved to Arizona. They had no idea who could have done this to him. Telephone tip. On June 11th, I received a tip through the Apache Junction Police Department. They received an anonymous call from a female who stated we needed to look at a person named Dustin Thompson as someone who might have something to do with or might have information regarding the death of Travis. The message was short, but they were able to trace the phone number. Utilizing the phone number provided, we were able to get a subscriber information on that number, which returned to a cellular phone owned by Dustin. A records check revealed that Dustin was married to a female named Ashley who worked at Dillard's. I met with Ashley for a brief interview. Ashley had a cellular phone with her during the interview. We asked for her cell number and confirmed it was the same number that had called in the tip. We did not confront her about the phone tip because we were still in the process of gathering intelligence on her husband, Dustin. Ashley confirmed that she and Travis were close friends and mentioned they had known each other for about 3 years. She said her husband also knew Travis. During the interview, she kept referring to her husband, Dustin, as her ex-husband. She explained that they were currently in the process of a divorce and is currently living separately from him. She said they were having financial issues and it was causing stress in their marriage. Ashley gave us basic information regarding her relationship with Travis, saying they were just friends and nothing else. The last time she actually saw him or talked with him was at his UFC party about 3 weeks ago. She said Travis would have UFC parties about every Wednesday where they would watch the fights. She said she tried to call him on the 9th, but didn't get an answer. She stated that she first heard about Travis's death the day after he was found. She heard from another friend named Deanna. Ashley said her husband, Dustin, found out about Travis that first night. When she talked to Dustin, he told her he found out that first night and went over to see what was going on. Ashley gave us information about her husband, Dustin, including his work address and work schedule. She never mentioned during the entire interview that she was the one who called in the anonymous phone tip. We finished the interview and asked if we could contact her again if we had any additional questions. She said that was fine. I didn't know about this Ashley. And she called in that tip to look at her ex-husband. So she says that it wasn't anything but friendship, but maybe it was more than friendship. That's just my opinion, because why would she call that tip in and blame her husband? Right? Like that seems a little. The prosecutor and I can't wait to see that. Insert themselves. She's so dumb. Jodi put on such an act in that courtroom. Yeah, she did. Dummy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I am familiar with that one. Yes, this looks more real in the mansions. I received a copy, a phone recording, autopsy, which we are going to go through the official autopsy next. I attend the autopsy on June 12th. Travis had multiple lacerations and punctures and 1 gunshot wound. This is probably what's in the autopsy that I wanted to cover. The wounds are listed as follow: 11 puncture wounds to his upper back between the shoulder blades, 2 large lacerations to the top and back of his head, 1 puncture to the back of his neck and ear, 4 punctures and lacerations to the chest, 3 lacerations to the belly, 1 laceration across the throat, which severed the right carotid artery and airway, 4 incised lacerations to the left hand, which were defensive wounds, 1 incised laceration to the right thumb, a defensive wound. One single gunshot wound to right brow, projectile recovered in the left cheek of victim. Whoa. She shot him in the face. She tried to, at least. Well, she did, the right brow. She must have been like a crazy psycho. I can't imagine. The lacerations and puncture wounds were consistent with the single-edged weapon, at least 5 inches in length. Lack of stifling or gunshot residue or soot around the gunshot would indicate the gunshot was taken no closer than 2 to 3 feet away. The initial report from Dr. Horn was that the gunshot wound to Travis's head would not have been fatal. So she shot him first. He tried to get away, defend himself, and that's when she stabbed him? Or which was first? The gunshot would have possibly disabled him. The knife wounds to his back did not enter the chest cavity, therefore they were not fatal either. He also had obvious defensive wounds to his hands to show he did attempt to protect himself during the attack. The fatal wounds consisted of a single stab wound to the center of his chest, which punctured his superior vena cava. This wound, along with the final throat slicing, were the cause of death. Manner of death would be listed as homicide. So yeah, he had been shot first. Flores testified at the hearing that based on his own review of the scene, it was apparent that he had been shot first. Yep, his brow. Oh, really? Because it says on here that Flores testified at the hearing that based on his own review, he had been pew-pewed first. But there's like other people saying it was the chest first. So I guess we'll have to, if you probably know more than me. I haven't watched that part of the trial, which we're gonna watch it, but either way, dude, that's outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous. It was more than Gypsy Rose. We also cover that here. That was, I think, 17 times. On June 12th, I conducted a telephone interview with Travis's closest friend and business partner, Chris, and his wife. Chris stated he had contact with Travis on Wednesday, the 4th. This was via phone, text message. Travis had a very important telephone conference on the 4th, which he missed. Travis was supposed to be hosting the call, but no one was able to get a hold of him. This information matched what we had found on Travis's phone on the day of the search warrant. The last outgoing text by Travis was to Chris, and that was the last known contact he had with anyone. They had been scheduled to meet in Cancun on the 10th for a seminar vacation. He tried to contact Travis on several occasions, but his phone messages were full. Chris figured he was just busy. While en route to Mexico, they heard about what had happened and thought of Jodi immediately. They both knew Jodi and Travis very well and stated that Jodi had been extremely obsessed with Travis even after their breakup. They believed she was very capable of doing harm to him. When asked if Travis might have any other enemies, they said he did not. They said Travis was liked by everyone and could not think of anyone else who would want to do anything to him. Interview with Clancy. On the 16th, June 16th, I returned a phone message left in my office. The message was from a woman named Clancy that I received on the 11th. Clancy stated she lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, and saw Jodi during a legal seminar on the 5th, June 5th. She stated that Jodi had been in contact with the person by the name of Ryan while she was on the road from Northern California to Utah for the press conference. She mentioned that Ryan had told her during a conversation that Jodi had left California on Tuesday, the 3rd of June, but didn't get to Utah until Thursday, the 5th of June. Ryan told her that he had lost contact with Jodi for over 20 hours during the trip, which Jodi explained by saying she got lost and pulled over on the side of the road and slept for a while. Jodi wasn't scheduled to be part of the seminar, but told Ryan that she was just passing through. Clancy said she had heard from the other people that Jodi had told him she was going there specifically to see Ryan. People tried to call Jodi while she was on the road since they were expecting her on Wednesday, but her phone was shut off. When she finally showed up on Thursday, she seemed to be acting a little odd. She thought maybe it was because she was tired or something. Clancy said she was concerned because the trip from Northern California to Salt Lake only takes about 10 hours or so. She thought maybe Jodi might have taken a trip to Mesa to see Travis beforehand and not told anyone. Clancy also mentioned that Jodi showed up with brown hair when normally she had blonde hair. I asked Clancy about Travis and Jodi's relationship. Clancy said that ever since Travis told Jodi he no longer wanted to be with her, she had been very clingy. She described her as acting very fatal attraction. Clancy thought I might need to talk to Ryan about what he knew, so she provided me with his phone number. Interview with Lisa, the ex. Any of what was done to him in whatever order is horrendous. Yeah, it is. Hi, Alsine. I can't imagine what he was thinking. I don't think it mattered. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's terrifying either way. And he tried to get away, and he's a big man, you know? Yeah, there was controversy. On June 16th, I contacted Travis's former girlfriend, Lisa, via phone. Lisa explained she was Travis's last girlfriend and had begun dating him after he and Jodi had broken up. I had asked Lisa about an email she had received after she and Travis both had their tires slashed by an unknown person. She said the tire slashing had occurred back in November or December of 2007 while they were still dating. Travis was at her house late one night and they received a knock at the door. They went out and they didn't see anyone. Later, they discovered that Travis's tires had been slashed. They thought it was possibly just a random act until the very next night when he was over again, they received another knock at the door. Travis ran out and found his tires had been slashed again. They made a call to the police department for a report. They waited for officers to respond to take a criminal damage report, but after several hours of waiting for an officer, they wouldn't wait any longer. An official report was never taken, but a call for service at the address detailing the reason for call was documented. The next day, December 8th, 2008, Lisa said she received an email from a John Doe. The email was extremely hostile and talks about her relationship with Travis. Lisa saved the email, which she was able to send to me. The following is an excerpt from the email. Jodi was a freaking psycho. Hey, Bree. This is what the email says. You are a shameful whore. Your heavenly Father must be deeply ashamed of the whoredoms you've committed with that insidious man. If you let him stay in your bed one more time or even sleep under the same roof as him, you will be giving the appearance of evil. You are driving away the Holy Ghost and you are wasting your time. You are also compromising your salvation and breaking your baptismal covenants. Of all the commandments to break, committing acts of whoredom is one of the most displeasing in the eyes of the Lord. You cannot be shamed enough of yourself. You're filthy and you need to repent and become clean in the eyes of God. Think about your future husband and how disrespectful, not only to yourself, but him as well as the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Is that what you want for yourself? Your future, your salvation, and your posterity is resting on your choices and actions. You are the daughter of God, and you have been a shameful example. Be thou clean, sin no more. Heavenly Father loves you and wants you to make the right choices. I know you are strong enough to choose the right. Your Father in heaven is pulling for you. Don't ignore the promptings you receive because they are vital to your spiritual well-being. Psychopath for sure. 1000%. Lisa said she was never able to prove that Jodi was the one who sent the email to her, but she was the one person that came to mind. I told her I was following several leads in the case and wanted to know if anyone else besides Jodi came to mind as a possible suspect. I asked about anyone else he might have had problems with or any former roommates of his that might have had it in for him. She did not think anyone else could have done this to Travis, but mentioned I could always look into talking to some of Travis's old roommates. She mentioned the name of his old roommates, John. She knew Travis and John didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but he did move out suddenly one night without telling Travis about it. John lived with Travis from July or August of 2007 to December of that same year. She knew they didn't get along, but can't see any reason why he would want to harm Travis. Follow-up interviews. On June 16, I contacted Marie again, Dallin, and Michelle and asked if they could come in for a follow-up meeting. On June 16th, I was also able to contact Jodi. She said she was in town for Travis's memorial and asked if she had a chance to come in for an interview the following day. On top of psycho, she's ridiculous. Like, be that clear. Why would she? Yeah, she totally inserted herself. I explained to her I had 3 other people coming in for interviews and give fingerprint and DNA samples for exclusionary purposes. She said she was leaving the following day, but would make an attempt to come in for an interview. On June 17th, approximately 1800 hours, Jodi, along with Dallin, Michelle, and Marie, came to the police department or police headquarters. They also gave a voluntary sample of saliva for DNA typing. Dallin, Michelle, and Marie all gave follow-up interviews, but Jodi stated she no longer wanted to. Jodi said she had been talking to a close friend who convinced her that many people had been talking about her being involved in Travis's death. After that friend talked to her, she felt uncomfortable talking to me without consulting an attorney first. No interview was done with Jodi on that day. No new information was obtained from the interviews. All interviews were recorded and submitted for evidence. On the following day, June 18th, Enrique Cortez came in for follow-up interview. Also in that evening, around the same time, Ashley and her husband, Dustin, came in. All 3 also agreed to be voluntarily fingerprint and take their DNA. Enrique said he conducts an interview with Enrique. I had Enrique go over what was going on at the house the week of June 2nd. He remembered only 5 people had been in the house that week. Those people were Travis, Zach, Amanda, and his girlfriend, Kim. The last time he remembered seeing Travis was on Wednesday, June 4th. He remembered talking to Travis that morning, and he told him he had a conference call scheduled that day. Travis also told him he hadn't slept very much, only getting about 45 minutes of sleep that night. The last time he thinks he remembered seeing Travis was on Wednesday evening after he got home from work. Enrique said he normally gets home from work. He remembered Travis was on the phone, possibly on a conference call. Wednesday seemed to be the last day things were somewhat normal. Thursday was the first day things seemed a little odd. The morning was normal, but when he got home, the front door was locked. This was unusual because Travis normally keeps the door unlocked. He had to gain entry into the home through the garage. He then noticed the downstairs furniture had been moved and pushed off the tile floor. He noticed the floor cleaner was out in the middle of the living room floor. Before that, Travis hadn't finished assembling it. He assumed Travis was getting ready to clean the tile floor. Enrique said he remembered he and his girlfriend Kim were going to the temple that evening. He just hung out in his bedroom watching television and playing a video game until his girlfriend showed up. He also remembered his girlfriend Kim saying something about Travis's CTR ring and watch sitting on the kitchen counter. This was unusual because he normally doesn't go anywhere without them. Another unusual thing he noticed was the dog fence that Travis had for his dog, Napoleon, was on the stairs restricting access to the upstairs. That was unusual because Travis never restricted the dog's access to any part of the house. The dog was allowed to roam the entire house. When asked if he had talked to Zach that week, he said he remembered talking to him on Saturday, June 7th. Zach had asked him if he had seen Travis that week. Zach was expecting some mail and asked if he knew where the mail key was. Zach also asked him if he had some jumper cables because he was having problems starting his car. Enrique said nothing seemed odd until Sunday when Travis missed church. He assumed he was out of town or something. Also, both Travis's bedroom and office doors were closed. Regarding the laundry, Enrique said he did laundry earlier that week, but didn't notice anything odd. I explained that we had found certain clothing items, such as religious undergarments and other men's clothing. Enrique identified the clothing as belonging to Travis. He said Travis is the only other person in the house that wears religious garments. Wait, what's religious garment? Hey, pizza. That's Thank you, Irony, for the super sticker. I just saw that. I appreciate you. Thank you. Isn't it a trip that her name was mentioned in the 911 call? Yeah, they knew. They knew. Um, what's like a religious spiritual underwear? I'll have to Google it. Oh. Oh, okay. Huh, I didn't know that about him. I asked Enrique if he smelled an unusual smell in the house throughout the week. He said he first noticed an unusual smell on Monday night at around 21:30 hours when he got home from church activity. He never asked anyone about it. That night, he was in his room after he took a shower when Zach knocked on his door and notified him that something had happened to Travis and that police were on their way. I asked Enrique when he thought this happened to Travis. He said possibly on Thursday night while he was at work. Thursday was the day things were moved around downstairs and his ring and his watch were on the kitchen counter. I told Enrique that Travis had missed a scheduled conference call on Wednesday evening that week. Enrique seemed a little confused because he remembered being in the kitchen on Wednesday evening eating when he saw Travis walking downstairs on the phone doing a conference call. Enrique said he could not be certain what day it was that he last saw Travis. Enrique's girlfriend, Kim, was not interviewed at the time. She was contacted and asked if she would be willing to come in for an official interview. She agreed to give an official statement with enough notice. Ashley. After the interview with Ashley, Detective Kaufman briefed me on his findings. He said Ashley did confirm that she was the one who called AGPD and left the anonymous information about her husband. She explained that she and her husband were having a lot of difficulties and he was just acting strange during that time. She and Travis were very close and she even had asked Travis about moving in with him as a roommate after her separation from her husband, Dustin. Both she and Travis agreed it was not a good idea she move in because of the way it might look. They were just good friends and they didn't want people to think of something inappropriate was going on. After Travis was found, she thought about how strange Dustin had been acting. It was during the few weeks leading up to Travis's death that she had moved out of her own apartment and they were both dealing with the possible foreclosure of their house. Since that day, she made the anonymous call. Her suspicions of Dustin have gone away. On June 19th, both Zach and his girlfriend Amanda came back in for their follow-up interviews. They also came in to be voluntarily fingerprinted. Amanda also gave DNA. Zachary says on the following interview, I wanted to pinpoint his schedule. Okay, Monday the 2nd, he was house sitting for his girlfriend and her parents. They were out of town on a cruise. Tuesday the 3rd, he went back home and got ready for work. Wednesday the 4th was his day off. He got up and returned the rental car he had been using, his car being repaired after being in an accident. He returned home for about an hour before going back to Mandy's house. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday that he remembered the furniture being moved or pushed off the tile and the floor cleaner out. He also remembered the banister had been cleaned. After cleaning Mandy's house on Wednesday, he returned. His girlfriend Mandy and her parents were returning the following day from the cruise. The rest of his schedule that week had been covered in his original interview. I asked about the laundry. He said he did that week. He was not positive if he had done laundry on Tuesday morning. I explained we had found some clothing in the washing machine, which included some white religious garments. He confirmed that the clothing was Travis's or Enrique's. He also said that Travis was very neat and he would never wash his white clothes with colors. Zach said nothing seemed unusual that week. He didn't remember anyone at the house and didn't see any unusual cars parked in the neighborhood that week. Enrique's girlfriend was feeding Travis's dog, Napoleon, so he assumed Travis was out of town that week again. Photos from the camera. On June 19th, this is one of the craziest cases. She admitted to all of it eventually with her story of self-defense. So the order of her horrendous acts is definitely not important unless we like morbidity. The amount of blood loss from that was a lot, if I recall correctly. Yes. Alexander was stabbed at least into his chest so deeply and punctured a vein going to his heart. So brutal. On June 19th, I was contacted about images located on a memory card found in the digital camera, which is found in the washing machine. The digital card has several pictures on it, including some which had been deleted. Detective Melendez recovered these deleted images. These deleted images were of Travis naked in the shower just before his death. The first one was timestamped 6/4/17, 22 hours. There were several pictures of Travis as he was clearly posing for the camera. The last picture taken of Travis alive was at 17:30 hours as he was sitting in the shower with his right side exposed to the person taking the picture. The photo that followed was taken at 17:31, which was a photo of the ceiling above the shower. This photo was out of focus as though the camera was moving at the time it was taken. The next photo was dark and the image was unclear. Once it was enhanced, it was clear it had been taken while the camera was upside down and possibly by accident. The photo was of a nude male lying on his back with large amounts of blood around his neck and shoulders. The amount of blood is consistent with the type of neck wound Travis sustained. The photo revealed someone standing over the body, possibly reaching down to move it. The only thing visible of the second person was the person's right pants, leg, and foot. It appeared as though the person was wearing a dark colored sock or shoe with striped sweatpants, which have a zipper on the back of the cuff. It was difficult to tell the color of the pants the suspect was wearing. It appeared to be blue. The picture showed the incident occurred at the north end of the bathroom hall, where the largest amount of blood was located at the scene. The last picture was taken also appeared to have been taken by accident. The picture was too dark as well and had to be enhanced. Once enhanced, it was clearly a picture of the bathroom hallway floor and baseboard. The main object was not clearly visible, but it appeared it was covered in blood like a dark liquid substance. The baseboard and the floor also had signs of the same colored substance. The detective was able to retrieve the photos. Okay, the first retrieved photo was of Jodi Arias lying nude on Travis's bed posing for a picture. There were 8 pictures total, 6 of Jodi and 2 of the victim, Travis. All were nude pictures and some in provocative sexual poses. The date and time of these photos is consistent with the date and time of Travis's death. This also indicates Jodi was lying about not seeing Travis since April of 2008. This also proves that Jodi was the last person who had contact with Travis prior to his death. Phone call from Jodi initiating contact. On Saturday, June 21st, I received a call on my cellular cell phone from Jodi. The call went directly to voicemail and she did leave a message. She left me a message to give her a call back when I had a chance. She left her name and her phone number. On Monday, June 24th, I called Jodi asking her what I could do for her. Jodi said she called me on Saturday because she was having a bad day. She mentioned she missed Travis's funeral in Southern California because she got a flat tire on the way to the airport. Another reason for her call was to check on any updates to the case. She also mentioned the fact of wanting to talk to an attorney before giving an official statement. She said she regretted saying that and she was now willing to give a statement. I told her it was still up to her if she wanted to give a statement. Jodi said she was possibly going to Tucson in a few weeks and could possibly stop by to give her statement while on the way. She also says she could give a statement over the phone if needed. She didn't have time to talk this day and asked if we could make an appointment for an interview the following day. We agreed to talk on the phone on June 25th. Before ending the conversation, I asked her one question. I asked if she had sent Travis an email about coming down to visit him. She said she had sent him an email just a week or so before he was found. She said he did not respond, so she assumed he was probably off in California. She was planning on staying in his home while he was away and visiting her friends. She said Travis had an open door policy and used to let her stay on occasion to watch his dog while he was out of town. She didn't do the trip because the budget didn't allow it at the time. She did, however, take a trip to Southern California and to Utah. At the end of the conversation, she asked how she would go about getting some of her belongings she left at Travis's house. She apparently left some of her clothing behind. She said it wasn't anything very valuable, so she wouldn't bother anyone about it. The following interview, camera roll. What a dumbass yeah, we've been saying that Lakeside. She's like her and Kenzie. She, how dumb to think that she didn't take the SIM card or whatever. Thanks for being here, Psycho Nerd. I contacted Jodi, the digital card, I guess. I contacted Jodi for a phone interview on June 25th. She stated she left her home in Northern California on Tuesday, June 3rd, en route to Salt Lake City for a prepaid conference. legal conference. On Wednesday and Thursday that same week, she said she rented a car in Redding, California, and drove first to the Los Angeles area to see a friend. She never met up with the friend and continued on to Utah via Las Vegas, Nevada. When she left Los Angeles, California, her phone battery died and lost all contacts with friends waiting for her in Utah. She was finally able to find her cellular phone charger while reaching Las Vegas, Nevada, and finally made contact with friends. She says she got lost and pulled over to the side of the road to sleep for a while. By the time she reached Salt Lake City, Utah, it was late in the morning on June 5th. She participated in the last day of the conference, then drove back home to 𝐌𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 late that night. While in Salt Lake City, she spent time with the person she identified as Ryan. According to Jodi and another source, I spoke to Ryan. Her trip to 𝐌𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐲 to Salt Lake City via Los Angeles and Nevada took her about 48 hours. I calculated the trip using her route with a stop of 10 hours to rest. The trip should not have taken more than 29 hours to complete. A similar trip down through Los Angeles and then to Mesa, Arizona, and back up to Salt Lake City with 10 hours of rest would approximately take 37 hours to drive. This still leaves 10 to 11 hours of additional time for other activities. Interview with Ryan. I called Ryan on June 25th and entered him via phone. I had called and spoke to Ryan earlier in the day, but caught him at a bad time. I asked him a few questions about Jodi's road trip and told him I would call him later to get more details. That first phone interview with Ryan was done prior to talking to Jodi that same day. During the second interview, Ryan confirmed the following. He's only known Jodi for a couple months now. They met in Oklahoma at another seminar. Jodi called him and said she left LA on Tuesday the 3rd. Her plan was to meet him on Wednesday for the meeting. The trip had been planned for about 2 weeks. She told him that she forgot her phone charger, so she had to turn off her phone to save the battery. On Wednesday night, she finally called him and said she had gotten lost, driven in the wrong direction. She also said she had run out of gas. At that same time of the phone call, she said she was near Las Vegas, Nevada. She told him she had just passed a sign that said she was 100 miles or so from Las Vegas. She finally showed up on Thursday, June 5th. She stayed in town with him for only a few hours. They hung out at the meeting, had dinner with him and his friends, then watched a movie at his place. She took a nap and left town the next morning. He wasn't sure what kind of car she was driving at the time. He thinks she was driving a white Ford Focus. He had never seen the car she owned and thinks it was possibly a rental car. Jodi sent him a text on that Sunday night or Monday night. He called her back and she told him that Travis had passed away. He knew about Travis because she had mentioned to him several times in the past. After Travis was found, a lot of mutual friends in Utah were pointing fingers at Jodi as being responsible for his death. Another rumor circulating was that Travis had been shot with a handgun. He also heard that there was a struggle possibly involving one or two more people, and he was both shot and stabbed. And this is the final paragraph of the document. Nobody turns off their phone to save battery. I know, right? Jodi at 1%. Travis was a big dude. Hi, abuelita. Yeah, he was. She was pretty strong. She left the whole camera. It was wrapped in the sheets. She was ridiculous. On June 26th, I received a call from the Mesa Police Identification Section. I spoke to senior print analyst HB Baxter, who informed me that the latent print left on the bathroom floor wall and the blood the blood had been identified. She had individualized the latent print to Jodi Arias's left palm. This was conclusive evidence that Jodi was present at the time of Travis's death. The print was left by Jodi touching the wall with the bloody left hand. On July 3rd, 2008, the Mesa Police Crime Lab contacted me with some initial DNA typing results. The initial results of the DNA test surrounding the bloody palm print indicated it was in fact BLOOD. The DNA typing indicated it was a mixture of DNA from two individuals, one from the victim and the other from Jodi. A long hair found in the same hallway stuck to the wall with blood was also identified as Jodi's. This long hair was identified as number 6 on the search warrants. Investigation continued. It's absolutely insane. Let's get on to the autopsy. We'll just go through that pretty quickly because we got a lot of the details in the autopsy already from the autopsy in that document. Thanks for being here, guys. Please hit that like button. It really helps push the channel out into the algorithm as I am being censored, not for Epstein files. Nowadays, even the absence of cell phone activity is incriminating. The behavior of this woman is very similar to Mackenzie Shirley. Yes, I've said that before, that if she didn't do it with a car, she would have done it with something else, possibly. Okay, let's just skim through this and then let's get to the crime scene photos. And I want to show you guys her MySpace page from back in the day. So let's see, autopsy, medical examiner. We already know sharp force injuries, multiple stab and incised wounds of the neck, head, and torso, multiple with penetration and hemorrhagic injury of superior vena cava near the cardiac base, deeply incised wound of the upper neck with transection of airway and jugular vein and carotid artery, multiple incised wounds of hand, gunshot wound of the head without exit, gunshot wound of entrance, right forehead, indeterminate range, perforation of inferior skull base, anterior fossa, and facial skeleton. No gunshot wound of exit, small caliber deformed projectile recovered from left cheek, wound track trajectory right to left and downwards, blunt force trauma, abrasions and contusions, decomposition is moderate. Reported circumstance of death. According to reports, this man was discovered deceased in a state of decomp in a shower stall in his residence with multiple apparent inflicted injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Okay. Sharp for injuries. We'll just go through these really quick. 2 oblique linear full thickness incised wounds, right and left posterior scalp. 1 1/4 inch oblique stab wound of the lower scalp, below the earlobe of the right ear, with an apparent blunt inch wide posteriorly superficial upright sternocleidomastoid muscle. A 1/4 inch shallow incised wound of the intermedial upper left forehead. Incised and roughly triangular cortical defects of the right and left portions of the skull. A gaping oblique deep incised wound across the anterior upper neck with a lower right side and transection perforation of the entire upper airway, strap muscles of neck, right jugular vein, and right carotid artery. She like really slit his throat. I feel bad for his family and his friends. Shallow stab wound, okay, upper neck. Oblique stab wound of the lower left neck. 1 oblique stab wound of the posterior left neck. Examination of the torso reveals the following sharp force injuries. A cluster of 9 stab wounds from the upper para, midline right, and left sides of the back. All wounds display blunt and sharply incised ends. All wounds penetrate soft issues of back and upon ribs. 1 oblique stab wound of the right to the right neck, pyramid line neck. Horizontal stab wound of the upper left chest, right chest, near the base of the heart. A deep transverse 2-inch incised wound across the lower right chest below the nipple. A 1 3/4 inch oblique stab wound of the left upper abdominal quadrant with a near tangential subcutaneous adipose tissue of the right lower abdomen quadrant. 2 very shallow parallel oblique incised wounds of the right shoulder. The hands were enclosed in paper bags prior to autopsy examination. Removal of the bags and examination of the palmar and dorsal aspects of both hands does not reveal the presence of grossly apparent splatter or grossly apparent gunpowder fragments. Nails are short and do not appear acutely broken. Apart from a cut portion of the right thumb, as described below, examination of the hands reveals several sharp force injuries. a wound on the palmar distal pad of the right thumb, a deep incised wound across the left thenar eminence with a deep penetration, an incised wound of the palmar webbing between the left thumb and index finger, a 1 inch incised wound across the dorsal surface of the distal interphalangeal joint of the thumb. It doesn't not even look like him. I know. We're gonna go through those. The siblings were close because of the bad upbringing. Yeah, I am. I remember people blowing up Travis's eye in the first picture. He looks as he's seen a ghost. I know. Yeah, she wanted to see the pictures. How sick. Gunshot of the head. Circular gunshot, anterior lower forehead above the eyebrow. And there was intact gunpowder surrounding the wound. It perforates the anterior frontal skull near the superior orbital bone and traverse the right anterior fossa. The projectile re-enters the facial skeleton near the midline, and the wound tract terminates in the left cheek. There's no gunshot wound of exit. Blunt force injuries. Abrasion of the proximal right forearm. 2 blue-purple contusions of the right lower leg and knee. 2 abraded lacerations of the lower lateral left heel and ankle. From him trying to get away. A 2-inch blue-purple contusion of the left ankle. In addition, okay, fingernails and hair was collected, an assay kit, swabs. General examination, okay. Rigor mortis is absent and liver mortis is red, purple, and fixed over the posterior surface of the body. There's evidence of moderate decomp as indicated by bloating, green discoloration, and multifocal skin slippage with purge exuding from the nose and the mouth. The scalp hair is brown. The irides are brown. There's no lesions of the conjunctiva. Facial hair is absent. The posterior aspects of the torso are symmetrical and display extensive trauma as described. The body is opened. Oh, okay, we don't need to go over that part. I just kind of wanted to go over the wounds, not his whole. Final summary. Based on the autopsy findings and investigative history as available to me, it is the opinion that Travis, a 30-year-old Caucasian male, died as a result of sharp force trauma of the neck and the torso. According to the reports, the man was discovered deceased in a state of decomp in a shower stall in the residence with multiple inflicted injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Examination revealed the decomposed remains of the adult male with numerous force injuries. Okay. There's a single gunshot wound. No alcohol, rugs, nothing in his tox report. And here's a tox report, which shows none of that. And then Shasta, I'm glad you made it. She's definitely kind of being with her thirst to see the aftermath. No, he wasn't tied up. Sick. So here's all the injuries and stuff to his body that they drew and labeled. It's terrible. His hands, the thumb. Wow. Hey, Green Eyed. Hey, Chucks. Oh, thank you, Chucks. I appreciate you. No worries. Hope everything's okay. Thanks for popping in. Okay. Let's move on, and you have been warned. Trigger warning. I know. That's why I'm like gonna be careful about the autopsy photos we're gonna look at. Let's look at this. There's a couple of them, and this is where she does pose, you know. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I know you guys are like, wait, what? But those are the freaking I those are the pictures, okay? This is him in the shower. Oh, oh, that's another one. He's like looking down. Hey, Mallory, good to see you. They were like messing around in the shower or what? At least they're redacted, you know, the pictures. Yeah, he looks scared. He does not look comfortable. Like what? Like what was how was she telling them to pose? That's how she lured him before unaliving him. They were messing around having sex in the shower, fooling around, huh? It's terrible. Um, I don't remember which ones are next, so I'm trying to take them off the screen before I. She was proud for the shame she brought him. Do you think he really knew this was gonna happen? I think he might have seen the look in her face. Let me just look ahead to see if I can show all of the rest of them, so I don't have to keep stopping. Ooh. Yeah, I can until we get to the autopsy part. He knew what was happening by the looks. Yeah, I think he saw the rage in her eyes, and he was about to leave the next morning. I can't wait to rewatch this trial with you guys. Oh, these are copies of the text messages. Ting off the fact that you can do and have me do anything you ask of me at any time you want it, like a sex slave, except for I am not obligated to do it, but rejoice in being a whore. That sole purpose in life is to be mine, to have animalistic sex with, and to please me in any way I desire. I will rejoice in. And I think it ended there. She was making him feel really good, telling him he was fine and stuff, just waiting for him to turn his back. I wonder what she told him for him to do this. Yeah, the bedroom photos that you saw at first, they were like, you know, messing around in the bedroom and taking like sex pictures and stuff. And then look at that blood. She might have I can't even. This is the picture that like haunts me of him. That's the last one. I think that's the final one, huh? Look at his eyes. Okay, let me see. Okay, I can show the next few. He looks sad. He looks like sad and like, okay, I think he knew what was gonna happen once he saw her. Here's the fingerprints. The pictures we just saw, the labeling we just saw in the autopsy. Look at how much BLOOD was on the floor. That's straight. Mhm. Oh my gosh. You see, like, this I know it was pretty bad in the Idaho, but, like, it reminds me of that, you know? Here's that black camera bag. Mm, I know. Trigger warning, guys. Holy moly. Scared to death. Yeah. Okay, let me look at the next ones because I also don't want to get in too much trouble. It when it's sat like that for days. Mhm. Exactly. I think he looked in the mirror to see what happened to him. Yeah, and try to fight her off. Um, okay, let me see because these are the autopsy. I don't know if I can show that one. Yeah, he might have tried to get away and she sliced his ankle. We did. The supplemental report said Napoleon was downstairs, but some of you were saying you thought he had like run away or something. The hand. Oh my gosh. This breaks my heart. I know how they got through all of it in court. He like tried to take the knife from her. Oh, I'm sad the doggy had to see that. Okay, let me check the next few because okay, I can do the next 4. I just oh my gosh. And she's sitting in prison. Look at that cut right there. I can't believe she's just sitting in jail eating honey buns after she did this. I'm disgusted. Okay, I'll do the next 4. Ankle. Oh my gosh, that was like his arm, right? Yeah. His thumb, I know. It looks like he tried to like maybe grab her hand and grab the knife. Okay. I can only show 2 of the next ones. This was like his body in the shower. Brutal. These are public information as well, so yes, they were defensive wounds. We did go over that, green-eyed on both hands. The dog was with his body. Oh, really? He did. He tried to get away. Um, I won't show this one because it shows his, I will show the stab wounds to the back. I don't know. These are pretty brutal. Definitely can't show that. I guess for, like, educational purposes, I could just show 1. That's not too bad. Let me see. There's a bunch of Jodi here by herself, like, modeling or posing. You know, it's crazy. She took a shower to clean herself off with him in there. Yes. Yes, they covered that. They said that his hands were, like, had been cleaned off. I'll just show a picture of the stab wounds really quick. It's pretty bad. She's a horrible human. Horrible. This is them 2 together. Like, if she wasn't a psycho, they would have looked good together. They looked good together, you know? Wow, her shirt says Travis Alexander's. It's the light. I don't think it's a candle. I think it's a light, right? Where she looks crazy. Was overkill. Absolutely overkill. Absolutely. Okay, let's get to the next set of photos. I don't remember. He doesn't even look like himself. I can't believe they show the one of his, the ones actually, the rest of the ones that I have are the ones we just looked at, close up of his hands. Maybe we can look at those. I won't show the one of his throat. It's just too brutal. YouTube wouldn't allow it, and it's just too much. Here's the hand. Multiple defense wounds to his palm and fingers that indicate he had fought for his life during the knife attack. It's like the Idaho 4s. Defensive wounds. Yeah. Had multiple defensive wounds to his palms and fingers indicate that he had fought. The prosecution contends this photo shown in court on June 8th, 2013 shows Travis had multiple self-defense wounds to his palm and fingers and indicates that he had fought for his life. Yeah, those are deep. Like, he was really trying to get that knife. my gosh. R.I.P. Travis. R.I.P. I know. She's a psycho, dude. There's literally no one like her. Okay, let's move on from I want to read the letter that if you guys missed the beginning of live, we did go over his hand blue or I'm blind. No, he's blue. Jodi's really a demon. I want to read the letter that she wrote to his family. So let's go through that. And then we'll end it with something funny. I found her Myspace. If you guys remember Myspace, I found her account and I want to go over it. But let's go over the letter. This is the final document for the night. Please hit the like button, guys. I'm having a lot of fun reviewing this case. I can't wait till we get to the trial. Maybe even possibly tonight, if not for sure tomorrow. Okay, let's read this. Sorry, it's like freezing, so I'm drinking coffee. Jodi Arias letter to Travis family, July 28th, 2008. Hold, please. We are covering the Nancy case, and we're going to do an update on that a little bit after this. So, to the Travis's family, of all the letters I must write, this one is the most difficult, second only to the one I must write my own parents. I thought at a length of things I should tell you all, but after talking with Detective Flores and Blaney, they convinced me of the importance of telling you all that I know that what you deserve to know. Now I think they told me this is not primarily out of principle, but to build their own case. That is their job. It's what they do. I knew that. Nevertheless, their pleas have stayed with me since I last spoke with them 12 days ago. And the more I have pondered it, the more I have come to agree with that 100%. For if it were my own brother, I want every detail that could be had. And if an arrest was made, I have 1 million questions for the person in custody. First and foremost, why? I don't have all the answers that you seek, but as I sit here today and put pen to paper, even on Travis's birthday, I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. Because this is not a Q&A forum, I don't know what questions you have precisely, but I do presume that you have gathered enough of everyone else's opinion to form your own notions of the kind of person that I am and the kind of relationship that Travis and I had. Since things call me in this way, and since detective have already made it clear that my case is hopeless and theirs is rock solid, I have no reason to hold anything back at this point, nor do I want to go to my grave having withheld anything that might help you piece some things together. It is no longer about me and the things I don't want you all to know. You deserve to know. Besides that, Detective Flores said anything I might reveal about Travis would never and could never change your opinion of him. And since my fear, that was the only thing holding me back. I feel like I can now shed a little light on what our situation was. I have a tendency to ramble, but I will keep most my trivialities to a minimum. However, I do feel that starting from the very beginning would be the best so that you will have a brief synopsis of our history from beginning until now. This may or may not clear up some of your questions, but to me, it's worth trying. I met Travis at the Rainforest Cafe at the MGM Grand in September of 2006. We later marveled and mused at the irony of meeting in such a place, as we later discovered our mutual passion for a healthy planet and the environment in general. He confidently walked right up to me, stuck out his hand, and said, quote unquote, "Hi, I'm Travis." I cordially responded with the usual niceties and figured that would be it, since in the moment, Kiss was just another of many new name I was not trying to forget. I continued to meet other people as we walked through the casino, but Travis made it a point to walk by my side and keep a running conversation. There wasn't any kind of magnetic attraction that I could feel, but in that short time, we discovered just a few things that we had in common: traveling, the UFC, the 49ers, and the drive to create an amazing life. After that weekend, I didn't expect to hear from him again, but surprisingly, he called the very next day. A few days later, he invited me to accompany him and his friends to church in Murrieta. That following Wednesday, he gave me a copy of the Book of Mormon. On November 26th, 2006, Travis baptized me at the church in Palm Desert where I was living at the time. He said he never met anyone more prepared to receive the gospel. Joining the church with one of the best decisions I ever made and has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. I know that Travis will be richly rewarded for the role he played in bringing me into the fold. Our relationship during that time was ambiguous and defined. There was no doubt a mutual attraction, but we were in no way officially dating by Christmas of 2006. Travis had grown to mean a lot to me. He was determined to quote unquote Mormonize me further. So I received a generous lot of gifts that Christmas to serve that very purpose. Everything from a CTR ring and scriptures with my name engraved on them, and a copy of a painting of Jesus Christ, the Proclamation of Families, and a biography of Gordon B. Hinckley. His generosity never wavered the entire I knew him, not once. It wasn't until February 2nd of 2007 that we decided to make things official. Things went really well, despite one small hangup. Deanna Reed. I had no hostility towards her, from what Travis said. She seems like a very nice girl, but he made it clear that she could under no circumstances even know about us, because if she found out, she would freak out, and he was tired of dealing with her every time he tried to date someone. I was very understanding of this, as I had dealt with a similar situation in the past. We began to progress to the point where the talk of marriage became more and more frequent. We often talk about family structure, baby names, how many children we wanted, boys, girls, etc. Each time he referenced the future, he included me in it. To me, this was natural progression. In May of 2007, I have to move out of my home in Palm Desert because I could no longer handle the mortgage. Travis insisted that I move closer to him so that we could have a normal relationship, although he expressed concern for Deanna's reaction, saying that if she found out, it would be World War III. As great as things were going, something just seemed off about the Deanna thing. I knew that he still loved and cared for her very much, and I thought that was admirable, but I didn't understand why he couldn't just tell her to back off. So in a snap decision, I decided to move to Big Sur, California instead. Travis was upset and hurt. I assured him it was a temporary and that things would work out, but he wasn't happy that I lived even farther. So we began to make arrangements for me to move to Mesa. We had to keep it top secret from Deanna. It was then I realized if Deanna was happy, Travis was happy, and then Jodi was happy. Sometimes things that seem like they're not part of the plan, but that is pure illusion. No matter how painful it is, we must trust that the hand of God is at work in our lives. Yo, hey, beautifully broken. She did him in Vegas. Hey, Jen. No, this is the letter this is from her to his family. It's disgusting. After Travis and I returned from a trip to Daniel's Summit, Utah, in June of 2007, I acted on impulse and a gut feeling doing something completely dishonest. You see, I have been in a few relationships before when my partner was not being completely faithful, and there is a distinct feeling that comes with it. Travis had been interacting with some girls in my presence that gave me cause for concern. I knew he was a flirtatious type, and I had witnessed it on countless occasions prior to that point. I am not a jealous person, but something about the way he conducted himself that caused me to question his level of commitment to our relationship and to me. The dishonest deed, which I had mentioned, was that I looked at the text messages in his phone. I thought to myself, he said he has nothing to hide, so why not? A flawed logic, I know. I fully expected to find a few mild flirtations with other girls, as this was his MO anyway, and he was not secretive about it. What I found, however, was far more, including several references made of the many separate intimate rendezvous he'd had with other girls, including plans in the making for further associations of the same kind. I checked the dates to make sure I wasn't getting worked up over nothing, but as feared, they were all within the range of when we began dating exclusively. I didn't freak out. I didn't even tell him. I didn't know what to do. We had another trip planned to Niagara Falls, the Sacred Grove, and Huntington Beach, so I decided to sit on it, get through that, and then make a decision. It ate at me. But as soon as we got home from Huntington Beach, it all came out. He was very apologetic. He said it was wrong. There was no way I couldn't forgive him. Despite his shortcomings, he had been very good to me. However, there was also no way that I could trust him any longer. I decided we should just be friends on June 29th, 2007. This was a very difficult decision for me because I have loved him very much. It was especially difficult because he begged me to marry him that same day. He said things would be different up to that point. A proposal was expected any time, but once the trust is gone, it is hopeless. I'm not perfect either. I violated his trust by reading his text messages that perhaps should have remained private. My justification was I had the right to know. I'm not saying it was okay. Fast forward 3 weeks to July 2007. I hesitated to follow through with plans I'd already made to move to Mesa, but Travis is a very persuasive man, and at the hand of his persuasion, I folded and decided to go. I used to wonder what it would have been like if I'd accepted his proposal, but I don't think things would have changed. Here's why. A month before I moved back to California, March of 2008, we decided to have a quote unquote come clean conversation about everything. He confessed that most of the time I'd been living there, he'd been dating someone else by the name of Lisa. The subject of dating other people had come up all of 4 times between us while I lived in Arizona, 3 of which he brought up, and he stated he wasn't dating anyone. I never had any reason not to believe him because there'd be no reason for him to hide that from me. I'm not the type to have a crying emotional meltdown over something like that the way Deanna has in the past. In fact, I would have been happy for him. So the shock came not in the fact that he lied again and cheated on yet another girlfriend, but that at this time I was the other girl. I felt very ashamed. My first thought was for Lisa. I should tell her everything, but they'd long since broken up, and Travis had taken a decided interest in Miami Hall. Besides, talking to Lisa not only would have destroyed our friendship, mine and Travis's, but it would have caused a lot of unnecessary drama and pain. She is an absolute narcissist, lying psychopath, murdering, jealous, evil, spiteful, gross human. Is that enough adjectives? Let's continue. After listening silently for a few minutes while he continued gushing about Mimi, I could see in his eyes that he was very happy. I asked him how she felt about him, and he jokingly responded by saying he doesn't think she even knows he's male. We both laughed, and I reminded him of the charmer that he is and that it's only a matter of time. He rolled his eyes and said, quote unquote, please, whatever you do, don't give me any dating advice. I get enough of that crap from Sky Hughes. I'm sick of it. I can handle this. I didn't say another word. If anyone knew how to win over a lady, it was Travis. So we left it at that. But when it was my turn to come clean, his attitude changed 180 degrees. All hell seemed to break loose. He lost his temper completely and flew into a rage. He began punching himself in the head so hard that he injured his neck and his back and could barely turn his head from side to side. I was afraid to get near him, but I wanted him to stop. Travis never hit me in the face, but he bruised other parts of my body. It was easy to shrug off a few visible bruises with my friends. I could blame it on work or clumsiness. That only happened on 2 occasions. The second time was on Tuesday in early of April 2008. Two men at the Tempe business briefing actually joked, quote unquote, "What, is Travis beating you now?" We just laughed, played along with their joke. Playing along with their joke was the only way to protect his reputation. I know it is common behavior for women in abusive relationships to protect their partner by covering for him or her and by making excuses, but I didn't see it so much like that. Travis and I were not in any kind of committed relationship at that point. He was not my partner any longer, and it was only a matter of days before I rolled out of town in a U-Haul truck. By putting several hundred miles between us, any further opportunities for abuse, not to mention immoral conduct on both of our parts, would be prevented. But even when I moved away, he didn't let up. I stopped to sleep in Hollister, still hundreds of miles from my destination in 𝐌𝐞𝐥𝐿, and Travis calls me in the middle of that night, angry that I moved, angry that I've dated other guys. It was so confusing to me because I thought we were on the same page about me moving, and I knew how much he liked Mimi. We both knew we were never getting back together, but it was like he was determined not to let me off that easily. I really cared for him. His cruelty and abuse never knew it made me angry. It only invoked pity and remorse and shame as well, for he acted that way out of pain. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt him. I know you all probably hate me, even more than before you started reading this letter. Well, hang on, because the plot thickens. And by the time you're done reading this, you most likely won't consider me worthy of your own spit. Travis told me that I'd hurt him more than the death of his father. He is not one to dramatize things, so I knew he'd been sincere when he said that. I didn't fully understand why he felt that way. How was it that he can date and have relationships? But if he did so, he branded me a whore. I knew he was hurting, but I didn't get it, especially since he liked Mimi so much. Tanisha had a mention online that I was obsessed with Travis. Obsession would not be an accurate way to term it. But if obsessed means that I cried every day since his death, then maybe there's some accuracy there. If obsessed means that I couldn't stay away, then there's a bit of truth in that. I could not say no to Travis. He would not let me escape his influential grasp. He called me at all hours of the night. The reason I was at his house so frequently was because he invited me over. Most of the time, it was in the late evenings when the coast was clear. He would send me sweet text messages in the middle of the night, beckoning me to get out of bed and sneak over to his house. It was too hard to resist most of the times. If I didn't get to respond to his solicitations, they would be followed by a heavy and relentless onslaught of that ultimate guilt trip. She is such a liar. You remember, guys, she said that it was self-defense, like Courtney Clenny, that Travis was abusive. I don't believe that. Let's continue. I know I should have been stronger for his own spiritual well-being and mine. Naturally, I was flattered that he was so attracted to me and wanted to spend time with me. Usually the feeling was quite mutual, but it became obvious, especially after our behavior continued, even after he met Mimi, that neither of us was going to be strong enough as long as we live in such a convenient proximity. I never regretted my decision to move back to California. There are, however, some decisions that I do regret, and I cannot tell you how remorseful that I am for my inactions. Let me clarify by saying the following. I had a trip planned to Southern California and Utah the week of June the 2nd through the 6th of 2008. Travis found out and tried persuading me to come to Arizona instead to visit him. I told him I just didn't have enough time. He acted sad and hurt and tried to guilt me into coming. I stood my ground and said no, but I played up all the positives, like his impending trip to Northern California. We were going to check off 3 more things on the list of 1,000 places to see before you die, which were Crater Lake. Although he had been there when he was very young, he wanted to re-experience it, the Oregon coast, and the Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon. But he refused to be consoled and just said, quote unquote, "Okay, Whatever, I see how it is. You don't love me. Just his usual rhetoric, guilt trip lingo, etc. We hung up the phone and I could feel my heart once again being pulled in his direction. I knew that if I went, we'd have fun. By the time I arrived in Pasadena, I made the decision to go to his house. I arrived in Mesa around 4 a.m. on Wednesday, June 4th, 2008. He was already expecting me and was very happy to see me. So was Naps. I missed them both so much. It had been months since I'd seen either of them. Travis was awake when I arrived. He waited up all night for me. He and Naps were in his office and he was watching some silly video on YouTube.com, some kind of dancing robot girls or something. I was exhausted from driving, so after a few more videos, we went to sleep as the sun was rising. We slept until about 1 p.m. When we woke up, among other things, we tried looking at photos from the past church history trips. They were on 3 CDs that I had made a year prior, but they were pretty badly scratched. Not to mention, Travis's laptop had recently contracted a virus and it was difficult to bring up the disk drive. He had instant Quaker oatmeal for lunch. I remember him clear as daylight, sitting in the office chair, feet kicked out, in his pajamas, eating oatmeal, waiting for his computer to accomplish a simple task, but having no luck. I sat on the floor next to him, petting Napoleon, looking around the room. The poem I'd written back in February was still on his whiteboard. Roses are red, violets are blue, T-Dog's the best, forget all the rest. Napoleon's pretty great too. Anyway, when we realized we weren't getting anywhere with pictures, we went back upstairs. I took pictures of him in the shower. They were tasteful pictures. We were going for a sort of Calvin Klein advertisement kind of look. Travis and I and the rest of the prepaid world knew about the Cancun trip a year prior when it was announced, but those who were eligible weren't announced until early 2008. When he found out he was going, he began working double overtime on his body, and by May and June, he was feeling very confident in his own skin. If it weren't for that fact, he might have not agreed to do those shots. Who knows? From this point on, things are blurred and confusing. I was sitting, kneeling on the floor next to the shower, going through the pictures I'd taken when I heard a really loud pop. I must have been hit in the back of the head because next thing I knew, I was lying next to the bathtub. My ears were ringing and Travis was screaming, but he sounded so far away, although he was right next to me. I'm really sorry for this. I know you're going to hate me even more than you already do, but as hard as this is, I keep telling myself that if it were my brother, I'd want to know. I can't believe she's writing this to his family. Thank you, Asain. She wrote a book, I know. This is literally to his family. Disgusting. Let's continue. When I came to, I saw 2 individuals standing near the bathroom and the bedroom right where the carpet ends and the tile begins. They both began walking towards us. My only thought was to run into the closet, possibly by passing them so I could get out of the room via the other door to his closet. But as I reached the other door, I was stopped by a male pointing a gun directly at my forehead. I was made to get on my knees near the armor and was told not to move. By this time, I surmised that the other perpetrator was now standing over Travis, and it was a female. But both people were wearing black ski masks, black gloves, and dark clothing, with the exception of the male who was wearing blue jeans. He left the room, and without much thought, I charged the female who was standing over Travis. I shoved her hard enough that she fell over Travis, who was conscious but quiet at that point on all fours with his right hand holding his head. The girl had fallen near the left sink, close to the trash can in the corner. I pulled on Travis, saying, "Come on, come on." He came forward lethargically but wouldn't stand up, and he kept saying, "I can't." I only got him about halfway down the hall of his bathroom. I kept urging him, but he said, "Go get help. Go to my neighbors." I didn't want to leave him. I felt like I was going to pass out. My whole body was tingling painfully all over. I just kept pulling on him. At this point, I was crying and kept pleading, "Come on, please." And he said, I can't feel my legs." That girl came at me with a knife, but I was able to grab her wrist. I was already weak, and I felt like I could hardly breathe. She tried kicking me repeatedly in the knees. I tried blocking her and holding her hands, but she was making repeated attempts to stomp on my feet, landing her target a few times. I was at an unfair advantage because she had shoes and I was in my bare feet. At that time, I didn't notice the pain. Maybe it was adrenaline, but my left foot was later throbbing and bruised, so I knew she got me at least once, probably more on that foot, and she had caused two of my toenails on my other foot to bleed, which I didn't discover until later as well. Again, probably adrenaline. I struggled and I was able to throw her off of me again, but out of fear, I ran out as she was about to double back me and come after me. Again, I was stopped by the male perpetrator who had come back into the room. He yelled at her to stop. He said that he's not what they're there for. I'm sorry about my handwriting. I'm shaking as I write this. She argued with him, saying that they should do me too, but he said no. He asked who I was, but before I could respond, I could barely breathe by then, let alone speak. He grabbed my purse and began to go through it. I was on my knees in the bedroom. Travis was still midway in the hall of the bathroom, the female standing over him, yelling at the male. He got out my wallet and looked at my driver's license. He took the cash that was in it, and besides gas receipts I'd accumulated up to that point of my trip, I had the registration to my car. The registration has the address of my parents' house printed clearly on it. He said to me as he began to stuff things back into my purse, I know who you are and know where you live. I know exactly how to find you, and I can find your family. Unless you want them all to die, you keep silence or I will silence you. I think like a lot of this is true. Like when she says, that she was like screaming, like I think parts of this was like what she was doing, like leaning over him and like when she hit him in the head. I remember, Melly, I remember living through this case. It's absolutely heart-wrenching. Yeah. We did the interrogations already, if that's what you're talking about. Let's continue. I agreed, but the woman kept shouting and arguing with him. She was shouting as quietly as possible. He kept telling her to shut up, but that's not what they were here for. He finally gave under the pressure because he held the gun to my head and tried to fire, but nothing happened. Just a click. I shoved past him with my purse, which was then on the floor next to me. He seemed to make no effort to stop me, but as I flew down the stairs, I swear I could hear footprints behind me. I ran out the front door, leaving behind my shoes and slamming the door as some last-ditch effort to create any kind of obstacle to slow down whoever was pursuing me. My rental car was parked in the driveway. I was shaking and hyperventilating and crying. I kept my eye on the front door as I backed out and drove away. Awful, I know. I didn't look as I backed out. I probably should have never been driving in that kind of state. It wasn't heightened awareness. It was blind confusion. The front door never opened. I don't know what time it was when I left, but I'm guessing it was sometime between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. Just don't know. There were two young girls outside playing. I don't know if they noticed me. One was maybe 9 or 10 years old. The other looked maybe 13 or 14. I'm not good at guessing ages. They both had blonde hair and they were running west down Queensboro Avenue on the north side of the street. That is one of the latest details that I remember of Travis's neighborhood. When I left, Travis was alive, although he was hurt. My phone was dead, and as cowardly as this is, I probably wouldn't have called for help if I could have. I was racked with fear. I knew that if they were capable of doing what I had seen him do, then they were capable of carrying out their threats. I did not harm Travis. I did not take his life. But looking back on the way that I acted, I might as well be held equally responsible for his death. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and 2 parents. But all I keep seeing was my dad and my youngest brother, and all I can think of was their safety. A huge part of me regrets my last minute decision to go to Travis's house that week. Part of me has faith in the notion that all things happen for a reason. I wish I could give you more. I did not commit a murder that day, nor would I ever harm Travis. The evidence against me was presented to me by Detective Flores. There is a lot. The only explanation I have for that is this. I was there that day. I never committed a crime. Therefore, it never occurred to me that I would need to cover my tracks. Whoever did this came prepared. All I can say now is that I'm deeply remorseful for the pain you have been experiencing. If I could give my life in exchange for Travis's life, that he could live here again amongst the people that love him, I would do so without a shadow of hesitation. What happened that day was horrible. I'm so sorry that I didn't have more courage to stop it or more power. My heart has ached to no end during this entire traumatic experience. Putting on a smile and pretending things were fine for my family didn't work out so well. I felt like I was a danger living near them and began to make preparations to move back to Monterey, where I lived 4 years ago. I loved Travis very much as a friend. We had our fair share of arguments, but I would never intentionally hurt him. I did hurt him emotionally, and for that I am very sorry too. But above all, I hope you can find peace. I know that his killers are still at large, and each and every day I've been praying not so much that they are brought to justice, but for my family's safety and protection. At the end of the day, I have to give it all to God. God is fair and just. And regardless of what the world believes, I'm so grateful that it is ultimately his opinion that counts. Again, I would never hurt Travis. He has shown me very little other than kindness and generosity. He would give me the world if he could. He assisted me in moving to and from Arizona. He let me store my books and artwork at his house when I had no room for them. He was constantly doing little things for me, just always full of thoughtfulness. We traveled many places together, each determined to conquer the book 100 Places to See Before You Die. I hesitate even mentioning all of the little knickknacks he'd accumulated that adorn his house as a result of our travel together, or through gifts from me that he treasured and proudly displayed, for fear it would taint your opinion of those same items, which are no doubt now in your possession. I know this letter may only raise more questions, but I hope it also answers others. Again, I know that God is just and fair. Ultimately, whoever did this will be held accountable. I think we can all agree on that much. Like I said, what prompted this letter is that I know you all deserve to know what information I have. I also feel like I should explain the following. There have been many comments made about my smile and my mugshot, which I was fully expecting. It was cocky, I know, but so was Travis. And anyone who knew Travis well enough knew he was cocky, also knew of his happy and positive outlook on life. I know of my own innocence, and so does our Father in heaven. For this reason, I cannot be sad. I also ask myself, what would Travis do? Barring the fact that he would likely not find himself and such an unfortunate set of circumstances, he would no doubt be flashing that smile of his that he always did. Like you, I wish that I knew why all of this happened. Forensics can tell us what, but not always who, and nobody seems to know why. Detective Flores suggested a few possible motives, but to me, they don't make sense. He said, maybe I was angry or jealous. Travis has never done anything that would incite that kind of anger. As far as the physical way he retaliated during 2 arguments that we had, my own father has done worse to me as means of discipline. The only other thing Travis has ever done to upset me was being faithful in our relationship, but nobody would expect me to be thrilled over it. I'd forgiven him long ago. Either way, he'd have to get me in the back of a line of ex-boyfriends who are guilty of the same folly in relationships with me. The detective said perhaps I was jealous he was going to Cancun. As I mentioned, I'd known about that trip since last year. There's no way I could break up with a guy and then expect him to take me on a trip of that magnitude. The idea of accompanying Travis on a trip to Cancun was short-lived as a snowflake in Mesa during the month of July. There was never any question or discussion of us going together. I just don't harbor any hostility towards Travis, and I never have. I know that we both struggled to move on. We both wanted each other to be happy. Travis was a good man. Our relationship was never perfect, but it taught me so much. Knowing Travis has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. I know it would bring you a great sense of closure to know that his killers were brought to justice. Ultimately, the persons responsible will be held accountable. I, however, will not serve 1 day in prison for a heinous crime in which I had no part. Travis lives. He is not far, and it won't be long before you can see him again. One day, all of our questions will be answered. I just hope you can all find the peace. My prayers are with you and have been since the inception of this nightmare, and so are the prayers of many. With deepest sympathy and humble sincerity, Jodi Arias, quote unquote, and your sorrow shall be turned into joy. John 16:20. No. She shouldn't even be in prison. She should be in a freaking mental hospital. She tried to get sympathy for some. It's you, dude. Wow, lying about her own dad too. This is disgusting. I don't know if they actually got it. I'm assuming maybe so. I hope not, because it's terrible. Okay, last but not least, we have let's end on a good note for this live. Shout out to you guys for being here. Please hit that like button. Let's look at her old MySpace page. I thought that would be funny. I used to love MySpace. Oh my gosh, who remembers like the decorating of the freaking page, the background, the music, the top 8? Ugh, the drama. The drama. You are the effing nightmare, Jodi. Made me want to change. Yeah. Okay, so it says Jodi, female 28, 𝐻𝐿𝐴, California. Last login, June 13th, 2008. Wait. Oh, June. Okay, I was like, isn't that when she close to when she got arrested? July 13th, my bad. So it was July 15th, 2008. She was arrested. She last logged in July 13th. So 2 days before she got arrested was her last login. It says open-minded, artistic, tolerant, kind, compassionate, loving, approachable, generous, healthy, creative, prosperous, strong, playful, appreciative, adventurous, spiritual, reflective, responsible, reverent. She lists all her interests: co-creation, energy, education, flowers, footballs. I'm just naming. You can see there's a lot. It says who I'd like to meet: Maya Angelou, George Braden, Rhonda Byrne, Steve Irwin, the Dalai Lama, Shakira, Robin Williams, Jerry Rice, Anne Rice. Where I've been, nothing. Oh, here's her friend space, top 15. Oh my gosh. I kind of miss this. I kind of really miss this. I used to be obsessed with MySpace. I would spend all day, every day. Sociopath, murder. We were coders. No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. I had to find this through some website. Look at Travis's right here. I wonder if it'll let me go to his profile. I'll check. Here's a picture of Martin Luther King. Oh, in the comments. This is a great pic of you, by the way. Happy belated birthday, July 10th. Happy birthday, Jodi girl. So it was her birthday. She has all these things. Just say no to negativity. Remember who you wanted to be. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. The best way to predict the future is to help create it. Picture of Jim Carrey for movies, books, Holy Bible, the Book of Mormon, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Trump book, The Emerald of Tablets, As a Man Thinketh, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, The Four Agreements. I do love that. Her details: single, networking, friends, straight, from Selena's. She's a Cancer, children someday, don't smoke, don't drink. She worked for prepaid legal services. Wow. Oh, what did Travis comment? I wonder how much you raise the hotness level of 𝐻𝐿𝐴 all by yourself, factoring in its per capita hot status before you came. I am sure it has raised exponentially. That was May 2nd, 2008 at 3:36 a.m. I don't think it'll let me click on Travis's page. Oh, is that her page? Yeah, it is. I love it. I love that I was able to find that. Oh, it did let me open Travis's page. Whoa. Let's look at it. Travis, 31 years old, Mesa, Arizona. Travis, a little stitious. Oh, he had a song. Oh my gosh, too bad I can't hear it. That sucks. Let's read general money, women, and power. Let's read his about me. I'm a simple man, really. Smart, successful, smashing good looks, a real suitor. I love nature, helping the homeless, and cooking with my grandmother just to create memories. Do I work out, you ask? Well, I'd like to be modest, but can say triathlete. And if you can't say that, we'll simply say 16 half-inch biceps. If I look familiar, you are probably an avid reader of GQ or Men's Health. Anyway, I enjoy going to church, teaching foreign children English, and gourmet cooking. You might say to yourself, yes, but what are Travis's talents? Well, if I must answer, poetry, playing the Spanish guitar, and understanding more than just people's voices, but understanding people's hearts. At least that's what Maya Angelou said at the awards ceremony when I was nominated for my first Nobel Peace Prize. If you'd like to know more, don't be shy. Go ahead and drop Travis a line. Unless, of course, a common phrase you use is thanks for the ad. In that case, you're wasting your life on MySpace. You should probably go do something more productive, like read a book or build an ant farm. Ciao. His status is single, straight, Riverside, athletic, white, Caucasian, Mormon. He's a Leo. He has a bunch of links for what he does. He's like a motivational speaker, business speaker. He says, who I'd like to meet. Well, Jesus for starters, people who love to give high fives incessantly. I also like to meet Osama bin Laden, an all out, no holds bar, winner take all cage fight. Christopher Walken would be fun to eat lunch with. Really, most people will except for whores. They are a dime a dozen these days, especially on MySpace. So if your employment involves a webcam, I don't see it going anywhere. Outside of that, I'm good to go. Whoa. Okay, that was a little aggressive. It was like 90s, late 90s, 2000s, maybe? I don't know. I just know it created a lot of drama for me as a teenager because I was obsessed with it, with MySpace. I didn't like that, what he said there. People are commenting, what's up, love? Hope to see you someday. Just saying hello. It's the first week of June. Okay, how did you get tickets to Vegas? What's up, T-Money? How's the hits on the blog? Wishing you a wonderful day. Hello, just showing some love. Have a great day. Happy Earth Day, says Jodi. I love Earth. Somebody says, hey, crazy. Jodi sends him a little picture of the water and the sunset. That's nice. Just trying to find Jodi's comments. Psycho. I think that those two are the only ones. Oh, down here, July 29th, 2007. Happy birthday to you. She made him a cake. Look at that. Happy birthday, T-Dog. Allie, July 28th, 2007, is saying I love you in 20 different languages. Oh, it's one of those chain things. Oh my gosh. Wow. This is like so nostalgic. She sent him a lone pine picture. That was fun going down memory lane of MySpace. Anyways, wow. So we did a pretty in-depth deep dive. Now we can get to the more fun stuff, the trial, text messages, emails. Now we all know exactly what the case consists of. Any from Lisa or Deanna? I didn't see any. Candace, Heather, Laura, Chad, oh, Jensen. I don't think he had met them yet. Ash, Mindalyn, Randy, Marie. Oh, Marie's there. May 8th, 2008. Wishing you a wonderful day. The training this Tuesday was amazing. See you soon. His roommates. That's about it. Nothing from then. Can't believe you can open it. I had to go through, it's not even through Myspace. It's through like a internet, like where you plug in. I don't know. It took me a while to find it. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did that. I'm going to schedule, I have a Nancy live after this. I was going to say we can maybe do trial the first day. We might have to move that tomorrow. I think you guys probably already got a notification for Epstein, but we might do Nancy or Epstein next. So can you still make one? I don't know if you can, actually, to be honest. That's just wild. Very nostalgic. Shout out to you guys for being here. Please, please, please hit the like button on the way out. Like I said, we will do the trial. We will continue. There's a lot of documents, a lot of interviews, trial. There's a lot to this case, as it was one of the most notorious ones in America. So shout out to you guys for being here. Shout out to the replay viewers. Drop a comment, drop a like, help your girl out. Like I said, we have another live, so make sure you turn on your notifications. Doesn't Justin Timberlake? I have no idea. I have no idea what happened to MySpace. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, hit the like, please. Thank you, Cree. Shout out to you guys for being here that long and hanging out and getting all the deets. Although we already knew a lot of it, it's nice to get a break from everything else right now in the media and the craziness. So it was shocking yeah, it was absolutely. Anyways, thanks for being here. Like I said, make sure you turn on your notifications, hit the like button. I will catch you guys on the next live. Check the scheduled lives. Again, shout out. I better be in your top 8, Millie. I know. I used to love the tops. And if my friends didn't put me, I would be upset. It's fun reflecting. It's a nice change from Nancy and Epstein right now because I'm consumed in those cases. So shout out to you guys. Hit the like button on the way out. I'll catch you on the next one.